This CyCast is provided to you by the Iowa State Letter Winners Club, bridging the gap between legend and legacy by engaging in our past to invest in our future.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our latest Iowa State CyCast, and we have an outstanding guest in Kelli More. And if you're not familiar with Kelli, she's one of the greatest gymnasts in Iowa State history, All-American. She was one of Iowa State's first All-Americans in gymnastics, and also a two-time Big 12 champion on the beam. And 25 years ago, Kelli and her teammates did something that had never been done before. They won a Big 12 team title. And it's hard to believe it's been 25 years, but we're having a reunion here in February to hopefully bring back all those great athletes. And welcome to the CyCast, Kelli.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. 25 years. Wow.
It flies by, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So just to get started, Kelli, you grew up in Nebraska, which obviously isn't that far from Ames, but how did your recruitment go and how you decided to attend Iowa State and compete for Coach Amy Pyle?
You know, I was a gymnast, right? Like I lived in a gym 20 to 25 hours a week. I knew the gymnastics world and that's all I knew. Obviously, Iowa State is in close proximity. They competed against Nebraska often. So when we would go to the college meets, we'd see them. Lou Ball, who was actually a volunteer coach the year that I was being recruited, he kind of put the bug in the ear to Amy and KJ and said, hey, there's this kid out of Nebraska you got to go look at. And so that was kind of the connection. They started following me. Amy was... she's a good recruiter. She knows how to talk to us athletes and what our goals are. She got to know us. So when it came down to it, it wasn't an easy decision for me. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I had offers at like Illinois State. And it wasn't for me. And I came to Iowa State and I absolutely loved the campus. I loved the team. They were so close knit at the time. So I was excited to join on and be a Cyclone.
Now, Coach Ball is from Nebraska, correct?
He is originally.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
How much did that help? And obviously, we're talking about Lou Ball, who's had a great career. He's the associate head coach at Oklahoma right now. And but having those ties from Nebraska probably helped you, right?
Absolutely. You got to remember, recruiting back then looked very different than the landscape of recruiting now. We used to, VHS recordings, send it into any school you just were like, I want to go there, come look at me. There wasn't social media, so all these coaches could see us. You competed very regionally. So getting out there and getting your name out there on the national stage was pretty hard. So it was a new experience. I didn't obviously know how to do any of that. So if coaches came to you and approached you, you were lucky. Otherwise, you were the one going out and looking for schools and saying, I want to go there. Are you interested in me? So for him to make that connection and really put a good word in for me and my work ethic and who I was as an athlete. He saw me at camps. He saw me at meets. He saw me at all these other things. So he had a good feel for my character and all of that stuff and thought I'd be a good fit for them.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Kelli, you started your career at Iowa State in 1997. And boy, right away, you showed that you were ready to, be one of the top, gymnasts in school history. 98 and 99, which is your sophomore and junior year, you won the Big 12 title on the beam. The beam. Now, tell me about the beam, because I always hear stories it's one of the most difficult events in gymnastics. How did you master the beam when most gymnasts would tell you that that's the one they don't want to deal with?
Yeah, it's such a mental game, right? Like, you don't do anything on the beam that you can't do 10 times harder on the floor. You're just doing it now on a 4-inch wide wooden beam, right? So my club coach, Tom Cole, he was really good at the mental game of gymnastics. And when I was really young, I struggled on that event. I was scared of everything. I was afraid to go for things. I remember leaving practices, bawling my eyes out, right? And he kind of worked with me and taught me how to be really aggressive on that event. And kind of was the one who first told me, you don't do anything there that you don't do harder on the floor. And that was an eye-opening thing for me. And once I figured that event out, it was almost like, this is my edge on this event, is I know how to stay mentally strong here. And when I got to college, Amy, KJ, those guys, they did a phenomenal job of just fostering that. I wanted to be great so bad, and I didn't have the most talent. I was overlooked by a lot of schools, and I had this drive inside me to beat some of those other schools who were competitors in our Big 12, Nebraska being one of them. Yeah. So I had a drive to want to be great, and that was the event. I was a beamer. Once you're a beamer, you're a beamer. You know how to do it.
Well, you obviously did an amazing job in that difficult event, and Kelli, heading into your senior year, you obviously had won multiple Big 12 titles. You had established yourself as one of the top gymnasts in the Big 12, and fellow seniors Sarah Sanderson and Martha Strain. But you also started bringing in more talent that were underclassmen. Did you feel the expectations for that 2000 team was the highest that you'd been at Iowa State?
100%. I mean, I remember coming in freshman year, and the upperclassmen, they're looking at you and they're watching you, and you're pushing them, right? Yep. And I knew I was pushing them, and I was excited about that. I get into my sophomore season, and Jessie Smith and Lauren Goldberg came in, and they were powerhouses. Mm-hmm. And I just remember going, oh my gosh, I got to step up my game or they're going to take my spot, right? And it continued on with Sissy Huey and Shelly Kringen, Karen Kaplicki, even Janet Anson the years after I was out of there. Those classes keep pushing you and keep pushing you. And that's a great thing. That's how you drive to get better, is you have people underneath you who are lighting that fire too, who want it just as bad as you do. Yeah. So we knew in 2000 that we were a team to contend with. We felt that way our junior season. We felt that way even our sophomore season. We were like, why aren't we quite there yet? And so I know my senior class, Bergs, Sarah Sanderson, now Kelly Cherwin, Martha Strain, we wanted, we were leaders. We knew we were leaders, and we knew how to do it. Sarah, she really stepped up that year. Oh, yeah. She really found her mental edge that year. I think she was on the cusp of it her junior year, but her senior year, she really found it. And we needed all of that. Betsy Hom came in that year, and that put us again a little bit more over the edge. So absolutely, that expectation was there. We had self-placed that expectation on ourselves, and we just needed to prove it. Yeah. And we did.
Yeah, and you did. And, how huge of a pickup was that to get Betsy for that final year?
She had a big name behind her. She was competing, I believe, internationally, even when she was getting recruited. She had transferred into us from another university, Florida. And Florida, at the time was also a big powerhouse. So she had a name behind her, which was really good. But again, you go back to, she had that talent level that just made everyone work that much harder to make sure that we were staying competitive, even with her. I mean, competition within your own team is so important, right? Healthy competition within your own team. And we had that. There was a lot of people who knew we were there and we wanted it. So she definitely helped us that year.
Well, the one thing that is very, very prevalent when I talk to, gymnasts from your era, Kelli, is that the respect you had for your head coach, and Amy Pyle.
Absolutely.
What made her such a good coach and a leader and mentor for your program?
I think that she understood it's a hard road to get to where you want to get to. And if you don't have people pushing you to be better, you're never going to get better, right?
Yeah.
So she was able to be the hard when she needed to be the hard. She was able to talk to us when we were in an office or we were having troubles or whatever. She was able to talk to us. We had really good technicians too in KJ and Lou, and I think those three balanced out really well. Amy's still a friend of mine today. We still talk whenever we see each other at meets and things like that. It was pinnacle.
Yeah. How rewarding was it for you, Kelli? I mean, your career is about ready to end at Iowa State. You had done things that had never been done before in the program, and your final Big 12 championship was in Hilton Coliseum.
Oh gosh, that was so great. To set the stage for that meet,
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at the rankings, but we were closely ranked with Nebraska that year. We had not yet beat them. And it was, trust me, that was the team to beat for us. And we got through all 4 events. It was like head-to-head competition the whole time. Nobody was pulling ahead. Nobody was, falling behind. And it came down to the last routine. And we didn't know whether we had won, whether we had tied, or whether we had lost. And Nebraska had some inquiries. Inquiries are when you tell the judge you're not sure that score was correct, and they could potentially change the score higher or lower. And so we knew they had some inquiries in. So we really had no clue whether we had won that meet or not. So we were all of the team was sitting in the line on the floor, and we're just like holding hands. We're trying to read the crowd if they know whether we won or not. We're trying to read the coaches if they know whether we won or not. And they're announcing the second place winner.
Yep.
And, they announced the score, and then they announced the team, and they said the University of Nebraska in second. And we all just went crazy that I didn't even hear what the final score was. I didn't hear them announce their name. I mean, it was a highlight of my career for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you obviously talk about that, Kelli, because, well, first of all, we're speaking of Nebraska. They had won six straight Big 12 titles heading into that meet. So they were at the time, the dominant program. And I got a chance to actually watch the video. It was on YouTube, which is great because everything's on YouTube, of when it was announced that you guys won. And I saw the joy of when the second place Nebraska, and it was so cool to watch. And I just can't even imagine how that felt for all of you, because that was the team to beat. It was at Hilton Coliseum, and you finally did it. And it was just so cool to see the joy of everyone when that was announced.
Look, when we came into Iowa State, they were building. They were getting to, I think they had gotten to regionals. They had never gotten to nationals. Obviously, they'd never win a title. They had never won a title.
Yep.
And so we were pushing the envelope. And let me tell you, there were some grinding days in the gym, where you're stressed with school and you've got so much travel and you're trying to just keep your team going and pushing them and driving them. So to have that success, it was overwhelmingly exciting. And you absolutely are right. When you rewatch those videos, you can see it in all of us. You see us with our heads down, and all of a sudden we're like screaming at the top of our lungs. Yeah.
And to actually do it in front of the home crowd even makes it even better and sweeter. And the other thing about that meet, Kelli, was that, it was a team effort. I think we had 6 gymnasts who finished in the top 3.
Wow.
Of the events. It wasn't just you or Betsy. It was everyone.
Yeah.
But other than actually winning it and getting the trophy, what are some of your other favorite memories from winning that 2000 Big 12 title?
Oh, my other favorite memories. That one, it's always the highlight, right? When you win.
Yeah.
I think seeing everybody else who contributed, everyone knew, you're right. Everyone contributed to that. Whether you hit the competition floor or you were on the sidelines cheering, absolutely every person on that team contributed in that year, and everyone gave themselves their full effort. They were doing that previous years, but that year was just very different. It was different in preseason. It was different during season. So that's a big highlight. I remember hoisting the trophy up onto the podium, and everyone wants a hand on it, right? And so making sure everybody got to touch that trophy and feel a part of that.
Yeah. Well, Big 12 title was done. You got it, but your season wasn't over, and you're a senior, and wow, you kept going hard, and let's move forward to the national championships, where you made the finals in the beam, and earned first team All-America honors. How amazing was that to end your career on that note?
We were driving. We had big goals, and they did not end with the Big 12 championship by any stretch. And nationals really was always our ultimate goal, to get there first. That's the first step. You got to get there, right? And that regional that year was in Alabama, I believe, if my memory is correct. Yeah. And Alabama is a powerhouse program. And so, you're competing for one or two. You got to be the top two teams to advance on to nationals. So, and there's 6 teams there at the time. So we knew going into that regional meet, we had to be our best to make it to nationals. We knew it. And we didn't want to make individual nationals. We wanted it as a team. That's how I felt. I mean, it would have been great as an individual, but I wanted the whole team behind us. And so when they got us up there on the second place podium, we were excited. We knew we had a chance at that. When you get to nationals, then it's kind of a cool experience, right? It's our first time there. We've never done it. We don't know what to expect. We're in the presence of all of this greatness, and it can be a little intimidating at first.
Because it had never been done before in Iowa State history.
Right, right. And so I remember the excitement. I remember how professional, you're on podium and the stadium is huge. The crowd is wild. They have their sections. You've got your Alabama section, your Iowa State section, and the fans are going crazy. It's a big stage to be on. And, that year we were in the same session as Nebraska again.
Yes.
So we were kind of competing against them all over again. And we finished the highest any team has ever placed in their first appearance at nationals, which 7th or an 8th place finish. Nobody had ever done that before. First time into nationals, most of them were finishing towards the bottom, 12th, 11th, 10th. So we were so proud of that. We were proud of how we finished. To be able to become an All-American, you have to get to nationals to be able to do that. And so for me to be able to go there and compete, not only for my team, but also for myself and the event that I was so proud of and so proud of what I had done was really exciting. Mohini Baharjua and I tied for first place after the first day.
Yes. Yep.
And I just remember sitting back and going, wow, I did that, and it was really cool. It didn't finish the way that I really wanted it to. I struggled in the finals. But oh gosh, I was so proud of our team that year. I was so proud of myself and my career at that point. It was a happy, sad time.
Yeah.
But exciting for Iowa State. And they went on to do so much more after that. They made nationals again. I mean, and we were the stepping stone to that. And we knew it. And that was all we could ask for.
Did you feel the nerves were a little different when you were at nationals stepping on that beam than during the regular season?
Wholeheartedly. It's a different stage. I mean, number one, you're on a podium. And normally you're competing on the floor. So the balance beam actually has a little more give to it because it's an open box, basically, that podium is. And so nerves kicking in kind of makes you shake a little bit, and then that beam kind of starts going. So you know, you have to trust your preparation, and you have to trust yourself, and bring your confidence out when you're on a podium. So absolutely very different. But
yeah, once again, we're here with Kelli More, Iowa State All-American gymnast. And just one last question to wrap this up, and we can't thank you enough. So, you know, how excited are you to come back to Ames here in February to reconnect with all your Big 12 champion teammates?
You know, there's something special about going through the trenches with people, right? And my friendships and my bonds with my teammates from college is so strong. We don't see each other on a regular basis. We're all dispersed all over the US, but we still make contact with each other all the time. So when we can all get together and be together in Ames, it's special. There's something very nostalgic about driving in, you know, University Boulevard. And I remember the first time I saw the big Iowa State bridge, because that wasn't there during my my time. I mean, it brings back a flood of memories and a flood of happiness. So I always love coming back to Ames. I actually got married at Ryman Gardens in Ames. You know, it's a special place in my heart.
Yeah. Well, Kelli, thank you again for sharing your memories on our CyCast. It's so great to catch up with you, and we look forward to seeing you here in a month. So thanks again.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
All right. Thanks, Kelli.
Yep.